Hey everybody, it's Josh Wilmoth, and we've got another special guest for our folks and watchers of GeorgetownLeaders.com. I've got Ritt Basie. He is the owner of Hill Country Payroll. He works with hundreds of businesses, large and small, all around Central Texas. I asked him to come on today's show and talk a little bit about what they're doing during the COVID-19 situation we're all in right now, how they're helping businesses and what they're doing for their clients. So Ritt, thanks for coming on. Tell us a little bit more about Hill Country Payroll and who you serve.
Great, Josh. Thanks for having us today. We sure do appreciate it. Well, so Hill Country Payroll is a payroll and human capital management firm that supports businesses with anywhere from 1 to about 1,000 employees. And we take care of from a payroll perspective, but then we also provide other services like benefits administration, time and attendance, scheduling, recruiting and applicant tracking software, and along with some paperless web-based onboarding tools as well. So, and then a number of other smaller products related to that as well. So,
I know you guys must be busy right now with the COVID-19, the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP out there. And were you guys able to help any of your clients through that situation?
Yeah, it's been an interesting experience for us. The banks obviously are a big part of this process, but prior to a small business being able to submit an application, they obviously had to put together a package, and a big piece of that was the payroll reporting that were required for the loan application. So we spent quite a bit of time working with our clients and other folks that aren't even clients, just helping them to understand what some of the requirements are, and then beginning to put together reports for them. And we actually built a custom report for our clients to be able to better define what those expenses were that were eligible to be part of the application process. So it's been an interesting experience and really has been really busy for us, but we're really fortunate to have the opportunity to work with some great clients and are feel blessed to have the chance to support them and do everything we can to help them work through this process and kind of get through this crisis.
Yeah, no, that was, from what I understand, pretty fluid situation, a lot of different rules coming down the pipeline and a lot of uncertainty out there. I think it's awesome that you're able to be that rock for your clients and be able to, give them custom reports on the exact information that they needed so they can, report back on just what they need to get the loans and help that they need.
Yeah, it's been definitely a learning experience for us, and we had the opportunity to interact with quite a few banks. One of the biggest challenges for our clients and really for everybody has been kind of the uncertainty and just understanding what the rules were. Some of the rules and guidance came out early and was fairly clear, but then there have been a number of other pieces that are still yet to be determined and a little bit unclear. So we're looking forward to learning more about that. And we're kind of at the point where we're starting to ramp up the forgiveness process as well, which will kind of be a similar process to the application, but kind of in reverse, where we'll be doing the same kind of thing in terms of helping our clients understand what their costs were from a payroll perspective and helping them put together a package to be able to submit to their bank to request the forgiveness for any of the PPP funds that they may have received. So
awesome. That's great. So from like a business operations standpoint, what did business look like before COVID-19? I know you've got multiple locations, you've got employees, it's a family run business. What did things look like before kind of the current working environment that we're in, and what has changed now? So what's changed and how are you guys overcoming that?
So then, as we moved into this situation, kind of toward the tail end of March, obviously things have shifted a little bit, and we're continuing to support our clients in processing their payroll and providing the software support from an HR perspective, making sure their tax payments are processed, doing all those things. But we've really taken on a new role over the last month or so, where we've been very active with our clients in terms of helping them understand what their payroll reports look like, and trying to be able to be in a position to provide them the information that they need with so many unanswered questions out there about the program and some of the other related CARES Act and FFCRA programs, it's been really important for us to do what we can to learn about those and to be able to share that information with our clients and to help them to be as successful as possible. I mean, it's really important to us to as a, as somebody who, as a business that supports our community, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support small business and help them work their way through this process.
Yeah, being that trusted advisor for any size organization is worth its weight in gold. And I know you guys are taking great care of your clients and giving them what they need and kind of working with them at the same time. During this process of everybody kind of learning and going through things, if you picked up any kind of tips or tricks that you could share with other small business owners out there on just how, you're making operations run smoother, to how you're communicating with clients, or just anything.
Probably the biggest thing that we would, offer to folks right now is particularly those that are impacted by this and those that were able to secure funding through the PPP or potentially even through one of the other programs, but specifically the PPP, is to have a plan and to look out at the coming months and create a budget and understand what your forecast looks like and begin to understand how you're spending your money. There's still so much guidance left to be received about the Paycheck Protection Program and how that's going to, how that forgiveness process will work, that making sure that you are in a position where all of the money that you're spending, particularly from a payroll perspective, that you do that with the intent of the program in mind, and that these are expenses that ultimately you'll be able to defend when it comes time to submit your application for forgiveness. There is still quite a bit of information to be, a lot of guidance to be shared. In the absence of having that guidance, having good documentation and having a good plan in place that makes sense and shows that you are keeping the intent of the program in mind. And the intent of the program was to keep workers working, keep employees paid. And the intent of the program was not for anybody to make extra money, make more money than they would have originally. It was to keep business moving forward and to keep employees on payroll. And so that's probably the biggest thing, is just being sure that you've got a good plan in place and that you've documented it. And then follow that up with keeping good records on how you're spending the money. Having a second bank account for your PPP funds. We don't suggest necessarily running payroll through there, because there are expenses within your payroll that are not going to be forgivable. And then at the end, you'll also have some extra money that you'll need to figure out. Kind of that last payroll likely will not work out exactly right. But having another account that, as you process a payroll or as you expend that money on rent or mortgage interest or utilities or other things that are forgivable, if you have that money in there, and as you spend those dollars, you're able to move that money out directly into your operating account, then you've got a better way to track it, and you've kind of got a plan that will help you make sure that you've got a clean and easy package for your bank to understand as you're requesting forgiveness.
Yeah, those are great ideas, great thoughts. So there's so much to the PPP program. You hear about it in the news all the time. How are you and your organization and your team members, how are you guys staying on top of all the news that comes down? Because I'm sure it changes daily.
Yeah, it's definitely, there are definitely a lot of updates coming through and still a lot of pending updates as well. We're obviously following a lot of the websites, IRS information, SBA information, following a lot of things online. And then we're also extremely involved in a couple of associations for our industry. And as part of those associations, we are fortunate to have some advocacy groups that are helping us in DC to better understand what's coming. And so through those avenues, we've also been able to learn things early in the process, which has been a great help to us. And then we are doing the best we can to share that with our clients as we're learning things. So really, it's just a time-consuming effort. It just takes a lot of time to stay on top of it and try and follow up with it. But right now, that's what's important, and we're doing everything we can to provide the best information we can to our clients.
Yeah, that's a lot to manage and keep on top of. Well, what is there any other additional information on the additional services? I know you're doing a ton with PPP right now and some of the loan assistance and things like that. Any of your other services that you'd like to highlight or just talk about real quick?
Well, I think, obviously some of the HR services are really important. Having a good process and having a good system, and you probably are seeing this in your business as well. Having the infrastructure in place, really, for those folks that have a good system and have the infrastructure in place, it has made this process easier and better for them, just purely because they've got access to the information, they're able to track it, they're able to understand it. So we think that having the information and the processes in place, being able to access the data that you need from a payroll perspective, a tax perspective. Another component of this that's going to be very important ultimately will be headcount and managing what your FTEs are. Some of that is still some guidance that we need to see. And that becomes difficult because there are employers that are in their fourth week now of having PPP funds, and the full guidance hasn't been issued on how those calculations will work. But being able to have a good system in place ultimately will help you manage that process for understanding what your headcount, what your FTEs are, and how much people are working, and how that will what the implication will be on your forgiveness then ultimately in the end. So,
wow, a lot going on for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I do have one or two other things I definitely would like to mention. One of the things that we did in this process, because as we began to follow it, was we did a survey and of our clients and anybody else that was interested in filling it out. We shared it on social media and a few other avenues. And one of the things that we did find, and we saw this as well on our end from working with our clients directly, is now if you, one other piece of advice we would have for folks is, if you don't have a good relationship with your banker, now is the time to establish that and make sure that we're now seeing what the impact of that was through the application process, through the first round of funding, through the second round of funding. So having a great relationship with your banker, knowing them, being in contact with them on a regular basis is proved to be very important. And then we also found that, particularly for smaller businesses, through the survey and through working with our clients, that if you are a smaller business, somebody with less than a couple hundred employees, working with a local or a more of a regional bank has definitely paid dividends for those clients that have made those selections in the past. The smaller clients paired with a larger bank didn't always yield the best results in terms of the application process. And what we found from our clients from talking to them, and then once again through the survey, was those smaller local and more regional banks were definitely much better advocates for our clients and for the small business community through the application process. And then I think the other point that I would bring up is, as you're kind of considering how you're going to work through the PPP process, it's important to understand what the forgiveness looks like and what you need to do to be able to get those dollars forgiven. But at the same time, it's really important to consider what the impact overall of this crisis is to your business, and that you're making appropriate decisions based on the funding that you have. And what I mean by that is, it's really nice to have that forgiveness of the loan, but in the end, you may be better off holding on to some of that cash and using that for operational purposes to have some liquidity over the next 90 days, 6 months through the remainder of the year, versus spending it and then getting it forgiven. If you don't have the jobs today for the people because of your business, in the end, the most important thing for you as a business is to make it through this successfully. And so while it's important to maximize your forgiveness, we would certainly suggest looking at your overall business plan and your forecast and understanding what your capital requirements are over the next few months. And you may find that it's better for you to have a portion of that money set aside that you don't get forgiven, that you actually are using for working capital over the coming months as well. So look at it as a loan first, and then as a grant or a forgiven loan second, but to kind of keep that in mind in the process as well.
Those are valuable tips. Those are awesome. That's good stuff. And that's stuff you're not hearing from, the mainstream and different things like that. And I think that's based on your experience and I mean, communicating with your clients. I mean, that's awesome. That's something that every organization needs to be doing and be doubling down on right now. And you guys are doing it. That's great. So if somebody's watching and wants to learn more about Hill Country Payroll, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys? You mentioned social media and websites and things like that. How can people reach out to you and get engaged?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly catch us on social media. We're out on Facebook. We're out on Twitter, LinkedIn. We've been posting a lot of information through the crisis about what's going on and kind of the updates as we've been learning more information. So certainly check us out there. We have a new website that's going up. It probably will be up toward the end of May. So we look forward to launching that. It'll be hillcountrypayroll.com. That's our current website, but this new site will have a lot of new information and a lot of new tools that we have available that we'll be including on there. And so we're excited to get that out toward the end of May. And then certainly can reach out over the phone as well. You can reach me directly at 512-828-4800 and love to visit with you anytime.
Awesome. Well, folks, Rip Basie, Hill Country Payroll. If you don't know him, you need to know him. He's a tremendous asset for small businesses all around Central Texas. He's doing great things, and I just encourage you to reach out to him and see if there's anything that he can do to help improve your business operation. So Rip, thanks again for taking the time, and look forward to seeing you on here again.
Josh, we sure do appreciate it. Thanks for all the things that you've been doing for a small business, and thanks for the opportunity to visit with you today.
Absolutely. Have a great one. Take care.
Thanks.